behalf of ESSDACK and ESSDACK Council of Superintendents, we would like to thank you for being here this morning. When you think about it, the opportunity that we have before us is really unique in our career as educators. The challenge that the state board has presented and through the leadership of Dr. Watson in terms of changing the way we do things and making things better for student success across the state of Kansas. Unique opportunity, and I thank you for being a part of that this morning. As you can see, bigger than life behind me, we have Dr. Watson. And at this time, I'd like to turn that over to him for a welcome and an overview of what we'll be talking about today. Randy?
Thanks, John. I'm glad I'm not there to see me on the big screen.
Yeah, it's something.
Yeah, I saw John Heim trying to tear that screen down, I think, just before he walked away. Probably a good thing. I want to thank all of you for coming together on late in the school year, when you've we like to say you just spent the last 100 meters of a 400-meter dash, and you're tired, and you put forth a really great effort, and kids have been successful all throughout Kansas. So I just want to say thank you for all your effort that you've done and continue to do on behalf of Kansas kids. You know, Brad and I are glad to be with you today. Brad's going to talk a little bit about accreditation and where we're wrapping this around accreditation a few minutes. I want to just spend a few minutes again talking to you about two of the 5 outcomes related to graduation rates and post-secondary success, and let you know just the challenges that we have before us. Before I do that, I think it's always instructive to talk about, when we think about graduation rates or post-secondary success rates in Kansas, if you take us as a state and you measure us against other states, our graduation rate is just short of 87%. That's what it was in the past. I assume it's going to be close to that this year. So almost 87% of our kids are graduating in Kansas schools, and that's a 4-year graduation rate. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. And if you compare that nationwide, we're going to be around 10th to 12th in the nation on graduation rates. So very high. And if you take students with disabilities, we're actually going to rank number 2 in the nation in graduation with students with disabilities. So we're doing really, really well. The problem is we're not graduating every kid. And even though we desperately want to, we've increased graduation rates over the last several years, but we're finding out that we're still short of 90% of kids graduating. So if you think about that in any class that just graduating Kansas schools, 10 to 15% on average did not get a chance to walk across the stage. And why that's so important in our discussion today is those students that do not graduate high school have a very small percentage opportunity to ever live in the middle class. And that's just because of the job outlook and the job opportunities. They're really going to have a difficult time. And so I know that all of us are committed to graduation rates. And so when I say, people ask me, Randy, what should the graduation rate be? And the answer is 100%. But when you say that to principals, staff, or even the public, but certainly to school people, there's this old connotation of we're going to chase this AYP thing toward 100%, and there's going to be sanctions and things that happen if we don't hit it. When I say 100%, those are aspirational goals. Aspirational, that's what we would like to obtain. That's what we strive to achieve. And what's the system going to be that would that would generate that. So that's a 4-year graduation rate, the federal definition. We'd like to move that toward 100%. I will tell you, if we can increase it to even in the low 90s, 91 or 92, we will lead the nation. We'll lead the United States at a low in the low 90s. And we're researching to find out what the longitudinal rate is for Singapore and Finland, China, Japan, Germany, some of the other countries. Because we want to make sure that we're comparing a 4-year cohort group to the way we determine a 4-year cohort group. So graduation rate, very important, and how we go about that. Second, when you look at graduation rate, you're just going to make a broad statement. The smaller the school district, the higher the graduation rate generally is. So where do you find the lowest graduation rates? Are, in some cases, are larger school districts, medium to large size. Small school districts have a very high graduation rate, 95 to 100% almost every year. But when you get to the other board outcome, post-secondary success rate, there doesn't seem to be any correlation between large and small schools. So we would like to have 100% of our students graduate in high school, and then as an aspirational goal, we'd love to have 100% of our students completing something after high school. We certainly know that 71% of the job market that the class of 2016 entered will require something after high school. But it's my belief that if we can even increase the number of students beyond what's needed for the economy, that we could drive the Kansas economy even to greater extent because we'd have a better educated workforce. And so, as all of you know, and Jay Scott's there today and can certainly spend a lot of time giving you details if you haven't been a part of the discussions that we've been across the state doing. That is, we have to change our mindset that post-secondary completion means that every student must go toward a baccalaureate path. And it will be the hardest change we've ever done in schools because primarily K-12 education, especially high schools, and especially entry requirements for post-secondary, have almost all been geared around some form of general ed requirements leading kids toward a 4-year baccalaureate program. And the example I always use is take a look at any comprehensive high school in Kansas and ask yourself, what are the graduation requirements? And those requirements are 4 years of English, 3 years of science, 3 years of social studies, 3 years of mathematics, a unit of PE, a unit of fine arts, possibly a unit of financial literacy, and some elective credits totaling 22 to 29. And that's the vast majority of school districts in Kansas. And those requirements are the requirements to get into a Board of Regents college. And just by having that, and not even discussing whether every kid should take that, we have predetermined that every student should be headed toward a 4-year degree or a master's degree or a PhD. And certainly we want to encourage any student that wants to go for a 4-year degree or beyond to do that. But we need a lot of students that are today not graduating high school or simply graduating high school not going on to have a certificate, industry recognized certificate, or a 2-year associate degree. We need plumbers, we need electricians, we need CNAs, we need CMAs, we need first responders, we need masons, we need physical therapy assistants. And economically, 52% of that job market out-earns people with a baccalaureate, master's, or PhD. So it's not a matter of money. You can earn a great living being a welder, just as you can earn a great living being a pharmacist. But what we have to change is our culture and our attitude about how we're going to go about doing that. And so, John, thank you, and Mike with ESSDACK, thanks for inviting me today to kind of kick this off. I want to say again, thank you. Collectively, I know we can solve this. We have a long history in Kansas of rolling up our sleeves and doing it. And what is it going to take for us to move graduation and post-secondary success further? So with that, John, I'll turn it back over to you. I'm going to be able to stay with you for probably an hour or so, and then I have a presentation I need to do in Overland Park. So thanks, everyone. Appreciate you being there. I appreciate all that you give to the Kansas students, and I hope that you have a wonderful summer and I hope you have a wonderful day as you go about this conversation. You can take me off the big screen now. That's what we want.
I'll just leave you there, Randy. Does anyone have any specific questions they would like to ask Randy right now before we begin the day?
Dr. Watson, I'd like to let you have a chance to share. How many districts have you already visited to share your vision? Because every time I turn around, I notice you're someone's district talking about the future of public education in Kansas.
You know, Doug, I haven't run an account, but I'll make this so you can't see my mug anymore. Here's the map that Penny puts together for me. And I will tell you, I think I've been everywhere. I've been nowhere. The red on this map, with over 280 school districts in Kansas, and we're very rural. But I try to get out 2 to 3 days a week. I'll be in Overland Park today, and then I'll be at the graduation for School of the Deaf tonight. But I was in Valley Center last week with Corey and his staff, and I would love to come out and visit with you, but I do try to get out 2 to 3 times a week to school districts, and my goal is I'm going to be visiting all of you in the first 2 years. So I'll be out and about throughout the summer and throughout the year. So we want to get out and talk to staff and try to generate enthusiasm for where we're going to go. And Doug, it just makes me think. I don't know if Corey's there today, but when I was in Valley Center last week, whenever a superintendent says, "Hey, can you come talk to our staff?" I said, "Yeah, Corey, be happy. I'm really enthused about that, excited about that." And he said, "Well, it's the last contract day. You don't mind talking the last hour of the last contract day." That's what friends are for, right? Well, thanks. But I will tell you, I've gotten some email since then. And what I find across the state when I do talk to faculty and staff, it's the veteran teachers that I hear from saying thank you. Thank you for allowing us to care about what we know about teaching the whole child again and how we're going to help every kid be successful and not simply test prep for a standardized test. So I think, Doug, as I go around and try to talk, that's been one of the things that's been received.